Hey guys, here talking to you today about how to install our TMW Pro Series shock tower brace. This is what the shock tower comes with. Alright, we got some tools here. We got a T30, a T20, and a 10mm wrench. We're going to show you guys how to pull the hood off of a CanAm X3. Underneath this hood, if you look underneath here, there's some little tabs, plastic tabs that stick off the firewall, and underneath there's a little T20, and you just take a couple of those bolts out. There's a little weird socket back here behind the headlight you got to pop off, and we'll show you how to do that. Okay, on the back side of the headlight, there's this little, you can kind of see it, but there's this little screw, and on the end of it's got kind of like a little socket. It's got a little tiny retaining cap right here, and on the inside, close to the radiator, there's a little bolt you take off. Take that bolt off, the top of the cap slides back, and you can pop the socket out. So we're going to do that for you real quick. And you see that little socket popped out right there. So now the headlight is free from the radiator bracket. If you're not careful and you start yanking on the hood, you can break the radiator bracket that holds that headlight in place. Also, don't forget to unplug your headlights, the little plug right there. Just pop those loose before you start pulling on the hood so you don't damage any of the wiring. There's two of them for each side. We're going to pop the hood loose now. There's some little clips right here that are kind of stubborn sometimes. You just got to twist a little bit and yank. You don't want to break them, so underneath, try to squeeze them and get them loose as best you can. This car's equipped with some limit straps. We're gonna go ahead and loosen those up right now safely before we try to get these shocks off. That way no one loses a finger. Here we're cutting all the zip ties and freeing up all the hoses and wires behind the radiator so we can make room for the shock tower. All right, so you can see we got our beautiful rags here, protecting the frame from being scratched with our radiator. Underneath this, you can see these little spots right here where we've already drilled them, but there's some factory rivets in right here, and we're gonna use a 5/16 drill bit and drill those holes out so that our shock tower brace will bolt right into there. There's actually 6 bolts that hold the bottom. There's 2 more you can't see, they're up underneath here. So you're gonna have 6 places where that shock tower bolts to the frame to secure those shocks in place. There you go.
We'll run the longer ones with one washer, and then I can swap those off easier at the shop.
Once you have all the 6 bolts in the lower portion of the shock tower brace installed, leave them loose, then reinstall your shocks. Make sure you get the upper shock bolts tight, and then go back and tighten up all the lower bolts. We got our 2 washers between the fan mounting bracket, this plastic bracket that holds the fan in place, and our shock tower. And this gives you perfect spacing for your wires and hoses and stuff. So as you slide that together, just make sure you have 2 washers on each side with that. You can see here, we were careful not to pinch any wires or any hoses in between the fan shroud and the new shock tower brace. It's a really tight fit. Going down through there's a lot of stuff going on, so you just got to make sure as you tighten that up, you're not going to smash or pinch or break anything that's in there. As you button up your CanAm X3, remember there are 2 wires provided at the top of the shock tower for your TMW backlit logo. Those wires, you can use them, you can hook them to your rock lights, you can hook them to your Fang lights, your running lights. We leave them loose for you guys to hook them up however you want.
wire.
Okay, plug your wires back in. Make sure all your bolts are tight. Get your hood back on there. The most important part is to take time and just go over every nut and bolt. Make sure that everything is tight and safe before you start driving it off-road.